The sound of my hand cracking across a billionaire's wife's face echoed louder than any mistake I'd ever made. Let me rewind, because nobody wakes up thinking today's the day I'll slap someone worth more than my entire bloodline, and somehow save their marriage in the process. My name is Kendra Miles, and 6 months ago, I was just a waitress trying to survive another double shift at Rosie's Diner off the I-75 just outside Atlanta. The kind of place where the coffee's always too weak and the tips barely cover gas money. I'd been working there for 3 years. Same cracked vinyl booths, same flickering neon sign out front that buzzed like a dying mosquito. Same faces every morning. Truckers, construction workers, the occasional lost tourist wondering how they ended up this far off the highway. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I knew every regular's order by heart. I could balance 4 plates on one arm and dodge a grease fire without breaking stride. I was good at what I did, and that mattered to me. That Tuesday started like any other. Early morning light cutting through the blinds. The smell of bacon grease and burnt toast. My feet already aching before my shift even started. Then the black Range Rover pulled up. It didn't belong here. Not in this parking lot with its faded lines and potholes deep enough to swallow a tire. The car was sleek, polished, the kind of vehicle that probably cost more than everything in the diner combined. I watched through the window as the driver's door opened. A woman stepped out. Cream designer dress that probably had a name I couldn't pronounce. Diamond earrings catching the morning sun like little explosions of light. Sunglasses big enough to hide half her face, but not the anger radiating off her like heat waves on asphalt. She wasn't lost. She was hunting. The bell above the door chimed as she walked in, heels clicking against the linoleum like gunshots. Every head in the diner turned. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even Earl, our cook who never stopped humming, went silent. She scanned the room once, then walked straight to the corner booth and sat down. Didn't pick up a menu. Didn't smile. Just crossed her legs and waited, staring at the door like she was expecting someone. I grabbed a coffee pot and approached her table, trying to keep my voice steady. "Good morning, ma'am. Can I get you some coffee?" She didn't even look at me. No. Just that. One word. Cold enough to frost the windows. I nodded and backed away, watching her from behind the counter. Something about her made my skin crawl. Not fear exactly, but that instinct you get when you know a storm's coming and there's nowhere to hide. 5 minutes later, he walked in. Tall, 6 foot something with shoulders that filled out his navy suit like it was custom made, which it probably was. Dark hair, sharp jawline, the kind of presence that doesn't need to announce itself. When he entered, the whole room shifted. Even the air felt different. He spotted her immediately, and his face changed. Not shock, recognition, and something heavier. Dread, maybe. He walked to her booth and slid into the seat across from her. I was refilling coffee at the next table over, close enough to hear their voices even though they were trying to keep quiet. "Vanessa," he said, his tone tight. "What are you doing here?" Her lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "We need to talk, Blake," and I wanted neutral ground. Blake. The name landed in my brain like a stone in still water, rippling outward. I didn't know who he was yet, but I knew power when I saw it. "This isn't the place," he said quietly. "Oh, I think it's perfect," she replied, her voice sharp as broken glass. "No cameras, no press. Just you, me, and the truth." I moved to another table, pretending to wipe it down, but my ears were locked on them. "You think I don't know?" Vanessa's voice rose slightly. "You think I'm stupid, Blake?" "Keep your voice down. Don't tell me what to do." She leaned forward, venom dripping from every word. "I know about her." My stomach dropped even though I had no idea who she was talking about. "Vanessa, please. The girl you've been texting, the one you smile at like I don't exist anymore." Blake's jaw tightened. "Not here." "Where then? At home, where you ignore me? At the office where you hide behind meetings?" The tension between them was suffocating. Other customers were starting to notice, glancing over nervously. Then Vanessa's eyes swept across the diner and landed on me. Her gaze locked onto mine like a laser. My heart stopped. "You," she said, loud enough for half the diner to hear. I froze, coffee pot still in my hand. "Ma'am?" She stood up slowly, pointing one perfectly manicured finger at me. "You're the one, aren't you?" Blake stood too, panic flashing across his face. "Vanessa, stop." But she wasn't stopping. She walked toward me, heels clicking, eyes blazing. "The waitress from his office brunch last month. I remember you, smiling too much, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Ma'am, I think you've got me confused with—" "Don't lie to me." Her voice cracked like a whip. "I know exactly who you are." Every single person in the diner was staring now. Earl had come out of the kitchen. My manager stood frozen by the register. Blake reached for Vanessa's arm. "That's enough. She has nothing to do with this." "Nothing?" Vanessa laughed, bitter and sharp. "She's the reason you don't look at me anymore. She's the reason our marriage is falling apart." Tears were forming in her eyes now, but her rage burned hotter. And then she grabbed the glass of water from the nearest table and threw it directly in my face. Cold shock. Gasps from the other customers. Water dripping down my uniform, my hair, pooling at my feet. I stood there, soaked and humiliated, unable to move or speak. Vanessa turned back to Blake, voice shaking. I hope she was worth it. Then she walked out, the bell chiming behind her like the closing note of a nightmare. Blake stood there, staring at me with something between guilt and horror. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Then he left too, and I was alone, soaking wet, shaking, surrounded by strangers who would never forget this moment. That was the first time I met Blake and Vanessa Harrington. I didn't know their names yet, didn't know he was one of Atlanta's most powerful real estate moguls, didn't know she was the daughter of a media empire owner. All I knew was that my life had just been shattered by two people I'd never even spoken to. And somewhere deep in my gut, I knew this wasn't over, not even close. By the time my shift ended that day, the video had already gone viral. Someone filmed the whole thing. Vanessa throwing water in my face, her screaming accusations, me standing there dripping and helpless. They posted it online with the caption, "Billionaire's wife confronts husband's mistress at cheap diner." Within 3 hours, it had 2 million views. By morning, my face was everywhere. I didn't even know I was trending until my phone started exploding. Text messages from numbers I didn't recognize, emails flooding my inbox, Facebook friend requests from strangers, Instagram comments calling me everything from homewrecker to gold digger. I sat on my apartment floor, scrolling through the nightmare, watching my entire life get rewritten by people who'd never met me. She knew what she was doing. "That uniform is way too tight. She's asking for it." Poor wife. I'd have done worse than throw water. These girls have no shame anymore. I wanted to scream, to tell them they were wrong, that I'd never even spoken to Blake Harrington before yesterday, that I didn't know who he was. But the internet doesn't care about truth. It cares about drama. My manager called me that afternoon. "Kendra, we need to talk." I knew from his tone what was coming. When I got to the diner, he was waiting in his office, a newspaper spread across his desk. My photo, mid-humiliation, water dripping down my face, took up half the front page. The headline read, "Mistress or Mistake, Waitress Caught in Billionaire Love Triangle." I felt sick. "I didn't do anything," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. He sighed, rubbing his temples. "I believe you, Kendra. I really do." But corporate's been getting calls all morning. Customers threatening to boycott. People saying they won't eat here if you're working. The owner's worried about the business. My hands started shaking. "So you're firing me." "I don't have a choice." "Yes, you do." I stood up, anger finally breaking through the shock. "You could stand by your employee. You could tell people the truth." "What truth?" he asked quietly. That a billionaire's wife publicly accused you? That video has millions of views. Even if it's not true, the damage is done. So I just lose everything because she had a bad day? He looked away. I'm sorry, I really am, but I have to let you go. I walked out of that office with my apron in my hands and tears burning behind my eyes. 3 years of work, gone. My reputation, destroyed. My future, uncertain. All because a woman I'd never met decided I was the enemy. The next 2 weeks were hell. I applied to every restaurant, cafe, and diner within a 20-mile radius. Most wouldn't even let me finish the application once they recognized my face. Aren't you that girl from the video? We're not looking for that kind of attention. Maybe try somewhere else. One manager actually laughed when I walked in. You've got some nerve showing up here. I stopped leaving my apartment unless I had to. Stopped checking social media. Stopped answering calls from numbers I didn't know. But the world wouldn't let me hide. Someone found out where I lived and posted my address online. Pizza deliveries I never ordered started showing up. Strangers knocked on my door at all hours, some wanting photos, others wanting to curse me out to my face. I changed my phone number twice. My savings were draining fast. Rent was due in a week, and I had maybe $300 left. My best friend Maya called one night, her voice careful. Ken, I saw another article. They're saying you've been seeing Blake for months, that you met at some charity event. That's a lie, I said flatly. I know. I'm just telling you what's out there. What else are they saying? She hesitated. Do you really want to know? Maya. They're saying you're after his money, that you targeted him. Some posts are saying you're pregnant. I dropped my phone. Pregnant. The word echoed in my head like a death sentence. I wasn't pregnant. I'd never even been alone with Blake Harrington. But it didn't matter. The lie was already spreading, mutating, taking on a life of its own. By the next morning, Blake Harrington, mistress pregnant, was trending on Twitter. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't escape. That's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. Someone was feeding these stories. Someone wanted me destroyed. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was a weapon. And I was the target. 1 month after the diner incident, I was completely broke. Rent was overdue. My landlord had left 3 notices on my door. I was eating ramen twice a day and skipping meals when I could. I'd sent out 47 job applications. 0 responses. My mom called from Tennessee, her voice tight with worry. Kendra, baby, just come home. You can stay with me until this blows over. It's not going to blow over, Mom. My face is all over the internet. Moving to another state won't change that. Then we'll figure something else out. You can't keep living like this. But I was too stubborn, too angry, too determined to prove I hadn't done anything wrong. I couldn't let them win. Then one morning, I woke up to a new headline that made my stomach drop. Exclusive: Billionaire Blake Harrington's mistress demands child support. I'd never demanded anything, never spoken to any reporters, never contacted Blake or his lawyers, but there it was, in print, with quotes attributed to sources close to Kendra Miles. Someone was manufacturing an entire narrative, and I was powerless to stop it. I sat on my bathroom floor, staring at the article on my phone, and finally let myself break. I cried until my throat hurt, until my eyes were swollen, until I had nothing left. Maybe they were right. Maybe I should just disappear, change my name, start over somewhere nobody knew my face. But just as I was ready to give up completely, something happened. A black sedan pulled up outside my apartment building. A man in a gray suit stepped out, looking up at my window like he knew exactly which one was mine. Then he walked to my door and slipped an envelope underneath. I stared at it for a long moment, afraid to touch it, afraid of what it might say. Finally, I opened it. Inside was a single note, handwritten on expensive paper. Meet me at the Blue Orchid Hotel, tomorrow, 6 p.m. We need to talk. B.H. Blake Harrington. The man who'd ruined my life wanted to meet, and God help me, I was angry enough to go. I didn't sleep that night. I kept reading the note over and over, trying to decode what "we need to talk" meant. An apology? A payoff to keep quiet? A threat? Part of me wanted to ignore it, to throw the note away and pretend none of this ever happened. But the other part, the part that was drowning in debt and rage and humiliation, wanted answers. I deserved to look Blake Harrington in the eye and hear him explain why he let his wife destroy me, why he said nothing while the world tore me apart, why my suffering was acceptable collateral damage in his marriage. So when 6 p.m. came the next day, I put on the only clean dress I had left and took the bus downtown to the Blue Orchid Hotel. It was the kind of place I'd only seen in movies. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, doormen in white gloves. The lobby smelled like expensive perfume and old money. I felt like an imposter walking through those doors. A hostess guided me to a private lounge on the 3rd floor, the kind of room where deals worth millions probably happened over whiskey and handshakes. Blake was already there, sitting alone in a leather armchair, staring out the window at the Atlanta skyline. He stood when he saw me. Up close, without the chaos of the diner, he looked different, tired, human, the kind of tired that comes from carrying weight you can't put down. "Kendra," he said quietly, "thank you for coming." I stayed near the door, arms crossed. "I almost didn't. I wouldn't have blamed you." Silence stretched between us, heavy and uncomfortable. Finally, I spoke. "Why am I here, Mr. Harrington?" "Blake, please." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit, please." I didn't move. "I'd rather stand." He nodded slowly, understanding. "I owe you an apology, a real one, not through lawyers or publicists, face to face." "Okay," I said coldly. "Apologize." He exhaled, choosing his words carefully. "What Vanessa did to you at the diner was wrong. What happened after, the articles, the harassment, everything, that was wrong too, and I should have stopped it. I should have told the truth from the beginning. But you didn't. No, I didn't. Why?" His jaw tightened. "Because I'm a coward." The honesty of it caught me off guard. He continued, his voice low. "Vanessa's father sits on the board of my company. He controls 40% of our investors. If Vanessa divorces me, he pulls everything. I lose the business I spent 15 years building." "So you sacrificed me instead," I said, my voice shaking. "Yes." He met my eyes. And I hate myself for it. I wanted to scream at him, to throw something, to make him feel even a fraction of what I'd been through. Instead, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind for weeks. "Did you cheat on her?" He looked away. "Not with you. But with someone." Silence. That was answer enough. "She wasn't wrong to be angry," he finally said. "She was just wrong about who." I shook my head in disbelief. "So, she destroyed an innocent person because it was easier than facing the truth." "Yes." "And you let her." "Yes." I felt something crack inside me, not sadness anymore, but pure, cold fury. "You people," I said, voice trembling. "You think you can just ruin lives because you're rich, because you're powerful, because people like me don't matter. That's not—" "I lost my job," I interrupted, my voice rising. "I lost my reputation. I can't find work. I can't afford rent. I'm getting eviction notices and death threats and messages from strangers telling me I should kill myself. All because your wife had a bad day and you were too scared to tell the truth." Blake's face crumbled. "I know, and I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am." He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. "This won't undo the damage," he said quietly, "but maybe it can help you start over." He placed the envelope on the table between us. I stared at it like it might explode. "What is that?" $50,000. Enough to cover your rent, help you relocate if you want, give you some breathing room while you figure things out." I looked from the envelope to his face, disgust rising in my throat. "You think you can buy your way out of this?" "No, but I can at least try to make things right." "Make things right?" I laughed bitterly. "You want to make things right? Go on national television and tell everyone the truth. Tell them I had nothing to do with your affair. Tell them your wife attacked an innocent woman. Tell them you're the one who ruined your marriage, not me." His face went pale. "I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because if I do, Vanessa's father will destroy me. I'll lose everything." "And what about what I lost?" My voice cracked. "What about my everything?" He had no answer. I stared at the envelope on the table. $50,000. More money than I'd ever seen in one place. It would solve every immediate problem I had. Pay my rent, buy me time, let me breathe again. But taking it would mean accepting that this was the price of my dignity, that rich people could ruin you and buy their way out of the guilt. I picked up the envelope and threw it back at him. "I don't want your money," I said, my voice cold as ice. "I want my life back, and you can't buy that." I turned and walked toward the door. "Kendra, wait. Tell your wife," I said without looking back, "that she destroyed the wrong person, because I'm not going away quietly." I walked out of that hotel with my head high and my heart pounding. I had no plan, no money, no job, no idea what I was going to do next. But I had something they didn't expect. I had nothing left to lose, and that made me dangerous. The next 3 weeks were the darkest of my life. My landlord finally served me with an eviction notice. I had 7 days to vacate the apartment or be forcibly removed. I sold everything I could: my TV, my laptop, jewelry from my grandmother. It bought me maybe another week. Maya offered to let me stay with her, but her apartment was tiny and her boyfriend was already giving her grief about it. "Just for a few days," she promised, "until you figure something out." But we both knew there was nothing to figure out. I was blacklisted, unhireable. My face was too recognizable, my name too toxic. I spent my days applying for jobs under fake names, only to have managers recognize me the moment I walked in for interviews. I spent my nights crying in Maya's bathroom so she wouldn't hear. Then the final blow came. I was scrolling through my phone, something I'd promised myself I'd stop doing, when I saw the new headline: "Breaking, Blake Harrington's mistress pregnant. Sources confirm." My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. There were photos, clearly doctored, showing me with what looked like a baby bump. Quotes from close friends, saying I was 3 months along. Speculation about paternity tests and child support demands. None of it was true, but truth didn't matter anymore. The story was trending worldwide within an hour. My phone exploded with notifications, angry messages, threats, people calling me every name imaginable. Maya found me on her bathroom floor, hyperventilating. "Ken, you need to breathe. Just breathe." "I can't," I gasped. "I can't do this anymore. I didn't do anything wrong and they won't stop. They won't stop." She held me while I sobbed, whispering that it would be okay even though neither of us believed it. That's when I knew I had 2 choices: disappear completely or fight back. Disappearing meant changing my name, moving to another state, abandoning everyone I knew, starting from zero with nothing but the clothes on my back. Fighting back meant facing Blake and Vanessa head-on, demanding they clear my name, risking even more public humiliation if it didn't work. I was so tired, so broken, so ready to give up. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I know you didn't do it. Meet me. I'll prove it." VH, Vanessa Harrington. The woman who destroyed my life wanted to meet. My first instinct was to delete it, block the number, assume it was some sick game. But something about the message felt different, desperate almost. Against every ounce of common sense I had left, I replied, "Where?" The response came instantly. "Marriott Rooftop Bar, midnight tonight, come alone." I stared at the message for a long time. This could be a trap. She could be planning to humiliate me again, maybe even hurt me. But what did I have to lose? My reputation was already destroyed. My life was already in ruins. If there was even a chance, even the smallest possibility, that Vanessa knew something that could clear my name, I had to take it. So when midnight came, I took an Uber to the Marriott, rode the elevator to the rooftop bar, and stepped out into the cool Atlanta night. The bar was nearly empty. Just a bartender cleaning glasses and a few late-night stragglers nursing drinks. And in the corner, silhouetted against the city lights, Vanessa Harrington, alone, waiting for me. She looked different than she had at the diner. No designer dress, no diamonds, no armor, just jeans, a simple black sweater, and hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked smaller somehow, fragile, like the weight of the world had finally cracked through that perfect exterior. She saw me approaching and stood, hands twisting nervously. "You came," she said quietly. I stopped a few feet away, keeping my distance. "You said you'd prove I didn't do it. So prove it." She gestured to the empty chair across from her. "Please sit." "I'd rather stand." "Kendra, please. I'm not here to fight." "Then why are you here?" She took a shaky breath. "Because I ruined your life. And you didn't deserve it." I waited, arms crossed, every muscle in my body tense. She sat back down and pulled out her phone, scrolling for a moment before turning the screen toward me. "These are from Blake's phone," she said. "I hired someone to recover deleted messages." I looked at the screen. Text messages. Dozens of them. Between Blake and multiple women whose names I didn't recognize. Flirty messages, hotel room numbers, meeting times. None of them were me. "He's been cheating for 2 years," Vanessa continued, her voice hollow. "Different women. Never the same one twice. He's careful, covers his tracks." I felt a strange mixture of vindication and sadness. "Then why did you blame me?" She looked up, tears streaming down her face now. "Because I saw you at that charity brunch. You smiled at him. You laughed at something he said. And for just a second, I saw the way he looked at you. The way he used to look at me." Her voice broke. "I knew you weren't the one he was texting, but you were there. You were real. You were someone I could see and blame and hurt. The others were just names on a screen." I stood there frozen, watching this powerful woman completely fall apart. "So you destroyed me because it was convenient," I said flatly. "Yes." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "And I hate myself for it." "Good," I said coldly. "You should." She flinched but didn't argue. I pulled out the chair and finally sat down, exhaustion overtaking anger. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because it's gotten out of control," she said. "The pregnancy rumors, the death threats you're getting. I saw the articles. I know what people are saying about you. You started this. I know." Her voice was barely a whisper. "And I need to stop it." "How?" She pulled out another phone, a different one, and placed it on the table. "This has everything. All of Blake's deleted messages, records of hotel charges, photos, everything you'd need to prove you had nothing to do with him." I stared at the phone like it might bite me. "Why would you give me this?" "Because you were right," she said, meeting my eyes. "That day at the hotel when you told Blake to go on television and tell the truth. You were right. This is the only way to make it stop." "And what about you?" I asked. "If I release this, everyone will know your husband's been cheating on you for years. You'll be humiliated." She laughed bitterly. "I'm already humiliated. I'm the villain who attacked an innocent waitress because I couldn't face my own failing marriage. At least this way, the truth comes out." I picked up the phone, scrolling through the evidence. It was all there. Damning. Irrefutable. This could clear my name completely, but it would also destroy whatever was left of the Harrington marriage. "What does Blake know about this?" I asked. "Nothing. And he can't know. If he finds out I'm giving you this, he'll have his lawyers bury it before it ever sees daylight." "So you're betraying him." "I'm choosing the truth over my pride," she corrected. "There's a difference." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't expected. Remorse. Real, bone-deep remorse. "I don't forgive you," I said quietly. "I don't expect you to. And I don't owe you anything." "I know." I stood up, phone in hand. "But I'm taking this, and I'm going to use it." She nodded. "Good." I turned to leave, then paused. "Why did you really do it?" I asked without looking back. "The real reason." Silence. Then so quietly I almost didn't hear it. Because it was easier to hate you than to face the fact that I'd lost him years ago. I walked away without responding, because there was nothing left to say. The next morning, I met with a lawyer. A good one, paid for by selling the last valuable thing I owned, my grandmother's engagement ring. He reviewed the evidence Vanessa gave me, his eyes widening with each new message. "This is solid," he said. "More than solid. This proves beyond any doubt that you had no relationship with Blake Harrington." "Can we go public with it?" "Absolutely. But you need to understand, once we do this, there's no taking it back. The Harringtons will fight. They'll try to discredit you, claim the evidence is fabricated." "Let them try," I said. "I'm done being silent." He nodded. "All right then, let's clear your name." We scheduled a press conference for 2 days later. I didn't tell anyone except Maya, who hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Finally," she whispered. "Finally you get to fight back." Those 2 days felt like the longest of my life. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, kept imagining everything that could go wrong. What if Blake's lawyers got to the evidence first? What if the media didn't believe me? What if I was just setting myself up for even more humiliation? But I'd come too far to back down now. The press conference was held at a small community center. Nothing fancy. Just me, my lawyer, and a handful of reporters. I wore the same dress I'd worn to meet Blake at the hotel. It felt fitting somehow. When the cameras started rolling, my hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the podium to steady them. My lawyer spoke first, laying out the timeline of events, explaining the evidence we'd gathered. Then it was my turn. I looked directly into the cameras and told my truth. "My name is Kendra Miles. 2 months ago, Vanessa Harrington accused me of having an affair with her husband, Blake Harrington. That accusation was false. I have never had any romantic or sexual relationship with Blake Harrington. I have never been alone with him outside of public settings, and I have never been pregnant with his child." My voice grew stronger with each sentence. "What I have been is the target of a smear campaign designed to protect a powerful man's reputation at the expense of mine. I lost my job, my home, my sense of safety, all because it was easier to destroy me than to face the truth." I held up the phone Vanessa gave me. This phone contains evidence, text messages, records, photos, proving that Blake Harrington has been unfaithful to his wife. But not with me. With multiple other women over the course of 2 years. Reporters started shouting questions, but I wasn't done. "I'm not here for revenge," I said firmly. "I'm here because the truth matters, because lies destroy lives, and because I refuse to let my name be buried under someone else's scandal anymore." The room erupted. Within an hour, the story was everywhere. By that evening, Blake Harrington's lawyers had released a statement denying everything. But the evidence was already out there. And this time, people were listening. I went back to Maya's apartment and collapsed on her couch, emotionally drained but weirdly at peace. For the first time in 2 months, I'd fought back, and it felt like breathing again. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" "Kendra." Blake's voice, tight, angry. "What the hell did you just do?" I told the truth. "You have no idea what you've started." "Good," I said coldly. "Maybe you should have thought about that before you let your wife destroy me." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "We need to meet. Tonight." "No." "Please, just hear me out. One more time." "Why would I—" "Because Vanessa's missing," he interrupted, his voice breaking. "And I think she's about to do something terrible." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean missing?" "She left a note. It said she was sorry, that she couldn't do this anymore." My heart started pounding. "Blake, what did the note say?" His voice cracked. "It said goodbye." I hung up on Blake and immediately tried calling Vanessa. Straight to voicemail. I tried again and again. Nothing. "What's wrong?" Maya asked, seeing the panic on my face. "Vanessa Harrington left some kind of goodbye note. Blake thinks she's going to hurt herself." Maya's eyes went wide. Call the police. And tell them what? That the woman who ruined my life might be in danger? They'll think I'm making it up for attention. I paced the small living room, mind racing. Vanessa had seemed broken at the rooftop bar, yes, but not suicidal. Guilty, ashamed, remorseful, but not ready to end things. Unless exposing Blake's affairs pushed her over an edge I didn't see coming. My phone rang again. Blake. I answered. Where are you? Driving around the city looking for her. I've checked her sister's house, her best friend's place, even the diner where this whole thing started. Nothing. What exactly did the note say? He hesitated. It said, I can't keep pretending anymore. I'm sorry for everything. Tell Kendra she was right. The truth does matter, even when it destroys you. My stomach twisted. Blake, I need you to think. Where would she go? Somewhere that means something to her, somewhere private. Silence as he thought. Then, the Marriott rooftop, the same place she'd met me. I'm on my way, I said, already grabbing Maya's car keys. Kendra, wait. I hung up and ran. The drive downtown felt like it took hours, even though it was only 15 minutes. I parked illegally and sprinted into the Marriott lobby, ignoring the confused looks from the concierge. The elevator ride to the rooftop was agonizing. When the doors finally opened, I burst out into the night air and saw her. Vanessa stood at the edge of the rooftop, hands gripping the railing, staring down at the city lights 20 stories below. Vanessa, I shouted. She turned, surprised to see me. Kendra? Her voice was hollow. What are you doing here? I walked slowly toward her, hands raised like I was approaching a frightened animal. Blake called me. He's worried about you. She laughed bitterly. Of course he is. Can't have his wife jumping off a building. Bad for the brand. That's not why I'm here. Then why? She turned back to the edge. You should be celebrating. You got your revenge. My marriage is over. Blake's reputation is destroyed. You won. This isn't about winning. Isn't it? She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. You wanted the truth to come out. Well, congratulations. Now everyone knows what a fool I've been. How I ignored every sign. How I attacked an innocent woman because I was too scared to face reality. I took another step closer. Vanessa, please step back from the edge. Why? So I can go back to my empty house and pretend everything's fine? So I can smile for the cameras while everyone whispers behind my back? No, I said firmly. So you can figure out who you are without him. She froze. I continued, my voice gentle but strong. You're not just Blake's wife. You're not just your father's daughter. You're Vanessa. And yeah, you made horrible mistakes. You hurt me. You hurt yourself. But that doesn't mean your story ends on this rooftop. You don't understand, she whispered. I have nothing without him. No identity, no purpose. I've been Mrs. Blake Harrington for so long, I don't even remember who I was before. Then find out, I said. But you can't do that if you're dead. She stood there trembling, caught between despair and something that might have been hope. I'm so tired, she said quietly. I'm so tired of pretending, of performing, of being perfect. Then stop, I said simply. Stop pretending. Stop performing. Just be real. I don't know how. Neither did I admitted. Until you destroyed my life and forced me to rebuild from nothing. It was hell. But I'm still here, and so are you. She turned to face me fully now, stepping slightly back from the edge. How can you even stand to look at me? She asked. After everything I did to you? Honestly? I don't know, I said. Part of me still hates you. Part of me wants to let you fall. But another part knows that we're both victims of the same man. He lied to you. He used me. He destroyed both our lives to protect his own. Vanessa stared at me, something shifting in her expression. When did you become so wise? When I had nothing left to lose, I said. Please, Vanessa, step away from the edge. She looked back down at the city one more time, then slowly, so slowly, stepped backward. I exhaled in relief. She collapsed onto a nearby bench, sobbing. I sat beside her, not touching, just present. I gave you that evidence because I thought it would fix things, she said through tears. I thought if the truth came out, everything would somehow be okay. But it's not okay. It's worse. Truth doesn't fix things, I said quietly. It just clears the way so you can start fixing them yourself. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. I don't know how to fix this. Neither do I. But maybe we figure it out together. She laughed through her tears. You'd help me? After everything? I don't know if I'd call it help, I said honestly. But I'm not going to let you die because of him. He's taken enough from both of us. We sat in silence for a while, two broken women under the Atlanta stars. Then the rooftop door burst open. Blake ran out, panic on his face. Vanessa! He rushed toward her, then saw me and stopped. Kendra? Vanessa stood slowly, wiping her face. Stay back, Blake, she said firmly. He froze. Vanessa, please, let's just talk. We're done talking, she said, her voice stronger now. We've been talking for 5 years while you've been lying. I'm done. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. No, she interrupted. You messed up, and I can't fix you. I can only fix myself. Blake looked between us, confused and desperate. What is this? Are you working together now? We're surviving you, I said coldly. There's a difference. His face hardened. You think you've won? Both of you? I have lawyers, resources. I can make both your lives hell. You already did, Vanessa said, and we're still standing. What does that tell you? For the first time since I'd met him, Blake Harrington looked powerless. Vanessa, please. I love you. No, you don't, she said sadly. You love what I represent, the connections, the money, the image. But you don't love me. Maybe you never did. He opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came out, because deep down, he knew she was right. Vanessa turned to me. Can I stay with you tonight? I don't want to go back to that house. I thought about my situation, crashing on Maya's couch, barely scraping by, nowhere near stable. But I nodded anyway. Yeah, you can stay. Blake watched us walk away together, speechless. As we stepped into the elevator, Vanessa said quietly, Thank you for coming, for stopping me. Don't thank me yet, I replied. We still have a lot to figure out. I know. She paused. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you save me? After everything I did, why did you come? I thought about it for a moment. Because somebody needed to break the cycle, I finally said. And I guess tonight it was my turn. The elevator descended in silence. When we reached the lobby, Vanessa's phone started buzzing. Dozens of notifications, news alerts, social media mentions. She glanced at the screen and her face went pale. What is it? I asked. She turned her phone toward me. The headline read, Breaking, Blake Harrington caught on camera confronting mistress and wife on hotel rooftop. Someone had filmed us, probably from a nearby building or another part of the rooftop. The video was already going viral. Of course, Vanessa said bitterly. Of course someone was watching. I felt that familiar dread creeping back. Another video, another scandal. Another wave of judgment from people who didn't know the full story. But then I read the comments. Wait, that's not his mistress. That's the waitress his wife attacked. Why are they together? Plot twist of the century. Is anyone else thinking these two women are actually the victims here? For once, the narrative was shifting. Not completely, not everywhere, but enough. Vanessa stared at her phone in disbelief. They're defending you. Some are even defending me. Don't get used to it, I said. The internet changes its mind every 5 minutes. But still, it was something. We drove back to Maya's apartment in silence, both processing the insanity of the night. When we arrived, Maya opened the door and her jaw dropped. "Is that Vanessa Harrington?" I confirmed. "She needs a place to stay tonight." Maya looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "The woman who destroyed your life? That Vanessa Harrington?" "It's complicated," we both said at the same time. Maya shook her head but stepped aside. "You know what? I don't even want to know. But she's sleeping on the floor. I'm not giving up my bed for her." "Fair," Vanessa said quietly. We set her up with blankets and a pillow in the corner of the living room. It was a far cry from her penthouse downtown, but she didn't complain. As Maya went to bed, Vanessa and I sat on opposite ends of the couch, exhaustion settling over both of us. "Can I ask you something?" Vanessa said after a while. "Yeah." "That press conference, when you released all the evidence, did you do it to hurt me, or to clear your name?" I thought about it honestly. "Both," I admitted. "I wanted people to know the truth, but I also wanted you to feel what I felt. Humiliation, powerlessness, having your life dissected by strangers." She nodded slowly. "I deserved it." "Yeah, you did." We sat in silence again. Then she said something that surprised me. "I was pregnant once, 4 years ago." I looked at her. Blake didn't want it, said it was bad timing, that we should wait until the business was more stable. So I ended it. And I've regretted it every single day since. Her voice cracked. "When I saw those rumors about you being pregnant with his child, something inside me broke. Because you were getting the thing I wanted most, even if it wasn't real. Even if it was just a lie. It felt like the universe was mocking me." I didn't know what to say. "That doesn't excuse what I did to you," she continued. "Nothing excuses it. But I need you to know it wasn't really about you. It was about me hating myself so much I needed someone else to hate instead." I understood that feeling more than I wanted to admit. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." And for the first time, I believed her. "I know," I said quietly. She curled up under the blankets, exhausted. I stayed on the couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of how my life had led to this moment. 2 months ago, I was a waitress with a simple life. Now I was sharing a couch with a billionaire's wife who'd tried to destroy me, after stopping her from jumping off a building, in the middle of a scandal that had gone national. Life really doesn't warn you before it flips you upside down. The next morning, I woke up to my phone exploding again. But this time, it wasn't hate messages, job offers, interview requests, podcasts wanting to tell my story, even a literary agent asking if I'd consider writing a book. The narrative had shifted overnight. I was no longer the mistress. I was the survivor. Vanessa woke up to similar messages, though hers were different. Divorce lawyers, therapists, women's advocacy groups offering support, and one message from her father: "We need to talk, now." She stared at it with dread. "He's going to tell me to reconcile with Blake," she said, "to protect the family image. That's what he always does." "What are you going to tell him?" I asked. She looked at me, something fierce igniting in her eyes. "That I'm done protecting everyone but myself." And in that moment, I saw the person she could become. Not Blake's wife. Not her father's puppet. Just Vanessa. Later that morning, we sat at Maya's tiny kitchen table with coffee that was too weak and toast that was slightly burnt. Maya had left for work, giving us space to figure out what came next. "I need to file for divorce," Vanessa said. "Today. Before Blake's lawyers convince me to wait or reconsider or sign some agreement that benefits everyone but me." "Do you have a lawyer you trust?" She shook her head. "Everyone I know is connected to Blake or my father. I need someone independent." "I know someone," I said. "The lawyer who helped me with the press conference. He's good, and he doesn't owe the Harringtons anything." She looked at me with gratitude. "You'd help me with this?" "Don't get it twisted," I said. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because Blake deserves to lose something for once." She smiled sadly. "I'll take it." We spent the rest of the day meeting with lawyers, filing paperwork, making calls. It was exhausting and terrifying and empowering all at once. By evening, the divorce papers were filed. By that night, Blake knew. He called Vanessa 17 times. She didn't answer once. Instead, she turned off her phone and looked at me. What now? I thought about it. Now we figure out who we are without him. How do we do that? I have no idea, I admitted, but we're going to find out. And somehow, sitting in that tiny apartment with a woman who'd once destroyed my life, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not the naive kind that believes everything works out perfectly, but the hard-earned kind that knows you can survive the worst and still find a way forward. We ordered pizza because neither of us knew how to cook. We watched terrible reality TV because neither of us wanted to watch the news. And we didn't talk about Blake or scandals or what tomorrow would bring. We just existed. Two broken women learning how to be whole again. But peace never lasts long. Just as I was falling asleep on the couch that night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a voice I didn't recognize. You think you've won? You think destroying Mr. Harrington makes you powerful? My blood ran cold. Who is this? Someone who knows where you're staying. Someone who knows you're not as safe as you think. The line went dead. I sat up, heart pounding. Vanessa was asleep on the floor, completely unaware. I checked the locks on Maya's door, looked out the window at the parking lot below. Everything seemed normal. But that voice, that threat, someone was watching, and they wanted me to know it. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Because I realized something that made my stomach turn. Blake Harrington wasn't the only person who wanted me gone, and whoever just called me was willing to do something about it. I didn't tell Vanessa about the phone call, not immediately anyway. When she woke up the next morning, she looked more rested than she had in weeks, and I didn't want to shatter that fragile peace with my paranoia. But the threat kept replaying in my mind like a broken record. Someone who knows where you're staying. How did they find me? And more importantly, who were they? Maya came home from her morning shift with groceries and immediately sensed something was wrong. What happened? She asked, setting bags on the counter. Nothing. I'm fine. She crossed her arms. Kendra, I've known you since high school. You're a terrible liar. What happened? Vanessa looked up from her coffee, concerned. I sighed. I got a threatening phone call last night. Someone said they know where I'm staying, that I'm not as safe as I think. Maya's face went pale. Did you call the police? And tell them what? That someone called me from an unknown number? They won't do anything. So what? You just wait for something bad to happen? I don't know, I snapped, then immediately felt guilty. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. Vanessa set down her coffee cup, her expression hardening. I do, she said firmly. We go on the offensive. What does that mean? It means we stop hiding, stop reacting. We figure out who's threatening you and we expose them. How? She pulled out her phone. I still have access to Blake's security team. They owe me more than they owe him. Let me make some calls. Within an hour, Vanessa had arranged for a private investigator to trace the phone call and for a security consultant to sweep Maya's apartment for surveillance devices. I watched in amazement as this woman, who'd been suicidal just 24 hours ago, transformed into someone completely different, focused, determined, powerful. The security consultant arrived first, a no-nonsense woman named Diane who swept the apartment with equipment that looked like something from a spy movie. You're clean, she said after 30 minutes. No cameras, no bugs, no tracking devices. That should have been reassuring, but it wasn't. If they weren't watching from inside, they were watching from somewhere else. The private investigator called an hour later with information that made my blood run cold. The call came from a burner phone, he said. But I was able to trace the location it was made from. It came from inside the Harrington Industries headquarters building. Vanessa and I exchanged looks. Blake? I said. But she shook her head. No, Blake's too careful. He'd never make a threat himself. He'd have someone else do it. Then who? She thought for a moment, her face darkening. My father. The pieces started clicking into place. Vanessa's father, Richard Montgomery, controlled 40% of Blake's company. He had more to lose from this scandal than anyone. His daughter divorcing Blake meant losing influence, losing money, losing control. He'd do this? I asked. Threaten someone? Vanessa laughed bitterly. You don't build a media empire by playing nice. My father destroys anyone who threatens his interests. And right now, you're threatening his interests. What about you? You're his daughter. To him, I'm an asset, a chess piece, and assets that don't perform get discarded. The way she said it, so matter-of-fact, so empty of emotion, broke my heart. So what do we do? Maya asked, looking between us nervously. Vanessa stood up, straightening her shoulders. We confront him, today, now. Are you insane? I said. If he's the one making threats, walking into his office is the worst thing we could do. No, Vanessa said firmly. The worst thing we could do is let him think we're afraid. Fear is what he feeds on. So we take that away from him. She looked at me with fierce determination. You saved my life last night. Let me save yours today. Against every survival instinct I had, I agreed. We took an Uber to the Montgomery Media Building downtown, a glass tower that pierced the Atlanta skyline like a knife. I'd never been inside a building this expensive before. Everything was marble and chrome and hushed conversations about millions of dollars. We didn't have an appointment, but Vanessa walked straight to the executive elevators like she owned the place. Because technically, one day she would. The receptionist on the top floor tried to stop us. Mrs. Harrington, your father is in a meeting. I don't care, Vanessa said, walking past her. She threw open the double doors to her father's office. Richard Montgomery sat behind a desk the size of a small car, on the phone, looking every bit the powerful man he was. Silver hair, expensive suit, eyes that could cut through steel. He looked up, annoyed at the interruption. Then he saw me. His expression shifted from annoyance to calculation in a heartbeat. I'll call you back, he said into the phone, then hung up. Vanessa, he said coolly, this is unexpected. Is it? She shot back. Or have you been expecting us ever since you called Kendra last night? His face remained perfectly neutral. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Dad. I've watched you lie my entire life. I know what it looks like. He leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. If I had called Miss Miles, it would have been to warn her about the dangerous game she's playing. Exposing my son-in-law, destroying my daughter's marriage. These actions have consequences. Blake destroyed his own marriage, I said, finding my voice. I just told the truth. The truth, Richard repeated, as if tasting the word. The truth is expensive, Miss Miles. It costs careers, reputations, sometimes lives. Are you threatening me? I'm educating you. He stood up, walking around his desk. You're young, naive. You think because you've won a few battles, you've won the war. But you don't understand how power works. Then explain it to me, I said, refusing to back down. He smiled, cold and predatory. Power isn't about being right. It's about controlling the narrative, and right now, you're the narrative. The poor waitress who brought down a billionaire. It's very compelling. People love an underdog story. He moved closer. But what happens when new information comes out? Information about you, your past, mistakes you've made. Suddenly, you're not the victim anymore. You're just another opportunist who saw a chance and took it. My heart started pounding. I don't have anything to hide. Everyone has something to hide, he said softly. The question is whether they want me to find it. Vanessa stepped between us. Stay away from her. Or what? Richard turned to his daughter. You'll disown me? Cut me out of your life? Darling, you need me more than I need you. Without Blake, without me, you're nothing. Just a pretty face with no purpose. I saw Vanessa flinch, saw years of manipulation hitting their mark. But then something changed in her expression. "You're wrong," she said quietly. "Excuse me?" "You're wrong about me. You're wrong about power. And you're wrong if you think I'm going to let you destroy another person to protect your empire." She pulled out her phone and held it up. "I've been recording this conversation. Every word, every threat. And if anything happens to Kendra, anything at all, this recording goes to every news outlet in the country." Richard's face darkened. "You wouldn't dare. Watch me." For the first time since we'd entered, he looked uncertain. "You realize what you're doing?" he said slowly. "You're choosing her over your own family." "No," Vanessa corrected. "I'm choosing myself. For the first time in my life." The office fell silent. Richard stared at his daughter like he was seeing a stranger. Then he looked at me. "You've corrupted her," he said coldly. "I freed her," I replied. His jaw clenched. "Get out, both of you, and don't come back." "Gladly," Vanessa said. We turned to leave. But as we reached the door, Richard spoke again. "Vanessa." She paused but didn't turn around. "You'll regret this. When the money runs out, when the doors start closing, you'll come crawling back. And I might not be there." She looked over her shoulder. "Good," she said simply. Then we walked out. The elevator ride down was silent. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But I felt something else too. Victory. Small, fragile, but real. When we reached the lobby, Vanessa stopped and turned to me. "I need to tell you something." "Okay. Last night, on that rooftop, when you asked why I gave you the evidence, I didn't tell you the whole truth." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "I didn't just give it to you to clear your name. I gave it to you because I wanted Blake to hurt the way I was hurting. I wanted him to lose everything. And I used you to make that happen." She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I'm still using you, even now. This whole thing with my father. It's about me breaking free, yes. But it's also about having someone on my side so I'm not alone. I'm being selfish. And you deserve to know that." I stared at her, processing this confession. Part of me wanted to be angry, to feel used again. But another part understood. "You want to know something?" I said. "I'm using you too." She looked surprised. "Before you showed up, I was nobody. Just a waitress with a ruined reputation and no future. But now, I'm the woman who took down a billionaire and befriended his wife. I'm interesting. I'm important. And that's not nothing." I paused. "So yeah, maybe we're both using each other, but at least we're honest about it." A slow smile spread across her face. "We're kind of terrible people, aren't we?" "Probably," I agreed. "But at least we're terrible together." We both laughed, real, genuine laughter that felt like medicine. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. My laughter died. Vanessa saw my face. "Is it him again?" I answered, putting it on speaker. "Hello?" This time the voice was different, female, familiar. "Kendra, it's Detective Sarah Chen from Atlanta PD. I need you to come to the station. Now." My blood ran cold. "Why? What's wrong?" "It's about Blake Harrington," she said carefully. "He's been in an accident, and he's saying you're responsible." The police station smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. Detective Chen led us into an interview room, windowless, gray, with a table bolted to the floor and chairs that had seen too many confessions. Vanessa insisted on coming with me, and surprisingly, they let her. "Mr. Harrington was in a car accident last night," Detective Chen said, opening a folder. "His vehicle was forced off the road by another car. He sustained a concussion and several broken ribs." My heart was pounding. "And he thinks I did this?" "He says you've been stalking him, that you've been sending threatening messages. That last night someone matching your description was seen near his car before the accident." "That's insane," Vanessa burst out. "Kendra was with me last night. All night." Detective Chen looked at her. "Can anyone else verify that?" "My friend Maya," I said quickly. We were at her apartment. What time? I tried to remember. From around 8 p.m. until this morning. The accident happened at 11:43 p.m. Then I definitely have an alibi. Call Maya, she'll tell you. Detective Chen made a note. We will, but there's something else. She pulled out a printed email and slid it across the table. It was from my email address, sent to Blake. At 11:30 p.m. last night. The message read, You took everything from me. Now I'm taking everything from you. See you soon. I stared at it in disbelief. I didn't send this. That's your email address. I don't care what it says. I didn't send it. Detective Chen watched me carefully. Miss Miles, I understand you've been through a lot. The scandal, losing your job, the public humiliation. It would make sense if you wanted revenge. I got my revenge, I said firmly. I cleared my name. I exposed the truth. I didn't need to hurt him physically. Then how do you explain this email? Someone's framing me, I said desperately. Someone who wants both Blake and me out of the picture. Vanessa suddenly sat up straight. My father. Detective Chen turned to her. Excuse me? My father, Richard Montgomery. He has the resources to fake an email. He has the motive to get rid of Kendra. And he's been threatening her. That's a serious accusation. I have proof. Vanessa pulled out her phone and played the recording from her father's office. Detective Chen listened, her expression unreadable. When it finished, she said, This is interesting, but it's not evidence of attempted murder. It's evidence of a family dispute. Then check his security footage, Vanessa pressed. Check his phone records. Check where he was last night. Mrs. Harrington, your father is a powerful man with expensive lawyers. Without concrete evidence? So he gets away with it? I interrupted. He frames me for attempted murder and you just let him? I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need more than a recording and a theory. She closed the folder. I'm going to verify your alibi with Maya. I'm going to have our tech team analyze that email. And I'm going to ask you not to leave the city while we investigate. Understood? I nodded numbly. Can I see him? Vanessa asked quietly. Blake, is he here? Is he... Detective Chen hesitated. He's at Piedmont Hospital. But I don't think... I need to see him, Vanessa said firmly. He's still my husband, technically. After another hour of questions and paperwork, they finally let us leave. Maya confirmed my alibi within minutes. The tech team said it would take days to trace the email. In the meantime, I was a suspect in an attempted murder. Vanessa and I took a taxi to Piedmont Hospital. Blake was in a private room on the 4th floor, hooked up to monitors, his face bruised and swollen. He looked up when we entered, and something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or guilt. Vanessa, he said hoarsely. Don't talk, she said, approaching his bed. Just listen. He nodded carefully, wincing at the movement. Did you really tell the police Kendra did this to you? He looked at me, then back at Vanessa. Your father told me to. The room went silent. What? Vanessa whispered. He came to see me yesterday. After you filed for divorce, he said I needed to do damage control, that Kendra was making us all look bad, that if I wanted his continued support, I needed to neutralize the threat. So you accused an innocent woman of attempted murder? I said, my voice shaking with rage. I didn't want to, Blake said desperately. But I was in the hospital, in pain, and he was in my ear saying this was the only way to fix everything, that you'd just get a slap on the wrist but it would discredit your story, that people would stop believing you. Vanessa's face went pale. You let him manipulate you. Again. I know, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, she shouted. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. Blake looked at me, tears in his eyes. Kendra, I'll tell the police the truth. I'll tell them it wasn't you. I'll tell them your father pressured me to lie. Why? I asked coldly. Why would you do that now? Because I'm tired, he said quietly. I'm tired of lying, of hurting people, of being his puppet. He looked at Vanessa. I never deserved you. I know that now. I destroyed our marriage because I was too weak to be the man you needed. But maybe I can do one good thing before you leave me forever. Vanessa stared at him, emotions warring on her face. Love, hate, pity, disgust. All of it tangled together. "You should have done the right thing from the beginning," she said finally. "I know. You should have protected Kendra instead of throwing her to the wolves. I know. You should have been honest with me years ago instead of cheating and lying." "I know." His voice broke. "I know all of it, and I can't take any of it back, but I can stop it from getting worse." He reached for the call button. "What are you doing?" Vanessa asked. "Calling the police, telling them everything, about your father, about the fake accusation, all of it." I watched as he made the call, my mind reeling. Could this really be over? Could Blake actually tell the truth for once? Detective Chen arrived 30 minutes later. Blake gave his statement, recanting his accusation, explaining Richard Montgomery's involvement. She recorded every word. "This changes things," she said when he finished. "But you understand you could be charged with filing a false police report." "I understand," Blake said quietly. "I'll accept whatever consequences come." Detective Chen looked at me. "Miss Miles, you're no longer a suspect. I'm sorry for the trouble." I nodded, too emotionally exhausted to feel relieved. As she left, Vanessa turned to Blake one last time. "This doesn't fix us," she said. "We're still getting divorced, but thank you for finally doing the right thing." He nodded, fresh tears streaming down his bruised face. "I hope you find someone who deserves you." "I hope I find myself first," she replied. Then we left. Outside the hospital, Vanessa collapsed onto a bench. "Is it really over?" she asked. "All of it?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Your father's still out there, still powerful, still dangerous. But we have Blake's statement now, and my recording. It's not much, but it's something. Will it be enough?" She looked up at the sky, thinking. It has to be. We sat in silence for a while, watching people come and go from the hospital. Lives beginning, lives ending, lives caught somewhere in between. "Kendra? Yeah? Back on that rooftop when you stopped me from jumping, you said we were both victims of the same man, but I don't think that's true anymore." "No?" She shook her head. "We're not victims, we're survivors, and that's different." I thought about that. She was right. Victims are passive, powerless, defined by what was done to them. Survivors are active. They fight, they heal, they choose what comes next. "So what do we do now?" I asked. She stood up, brushing off her jeans. "Now? We go home, we rest, and tomorrow we figure out how to take down my father before he takes us down." "That simple?" She smiled. "Nothing's simple, but at least we're not alone anymore." We walked back to Maya's apartment as the sun began to set over Atlanta. The city looked different now, not safer exactly, but somehow less hostile. Maybe because I finally had someone in my corner. Or maybe because I'd finally learned how to fight back. Either way, I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. But for the first time in months, I wasn't afraid of what came next. I was ready for it. 3 days after Blake's confession, Richard Montgomery was arrested. The charges were conspiracy, witness intimidation, and attempted obstruction of justice. It turned out Blake's statement, combined with Vanessa's recording and the police tech team tracing the fake email back to one of Richard's employees, was enough. Not enough to guarantee a conviction. Men like Richard Montgomery didn't go down easy, but enough to start the process. Enough to make him vulnerable. The media went absolutely insane. Media mogul arrested in Billionaire scandal. Richard Montgomery accused of framing innocent Waitress. The fall of Atlanta's most powerful family. My phone exploded again, but this time with messages of support instead of hate. People who'd called me a homewrecker were now calling me brave. The same internet that destroyed me 2 months ago was now building me back up. It was dizzying, surreal, and honestly, a little hollow. Because internet validation is like junk food. It tastes good in the moment but leaves you empty. What mattered more were the real changes happening. Job offers flooded in. Real ones. From restaurants, yes, but also from companies wanting me to speak about resilience, from organizations fighting for workers' rights, from people who saw me as a symbol of something bigger than myself. I didn't feel like a symbol. I felt like a woman who'd survived by pure stubbornness and luck. But maybe that's what symbols are. Regular people who refuse to stay down. One offer stood out above the rest. The Harrington Foundation, the charitable arm of Blake's company, wanted to open a new community cafe in downtown Atlanta. A place that hired people who'd been wrongfully terminated, who had gaps in their resumes, who needed a second chance, and they wanted me to manage it. At first, I laughed. The irony was too much. But Vanessa, who'd been staying with Maya and me for the past week, convinced me to at least take the meeting. It's not Blake's money anymore, she explained. The foundation is independent, and the board voted to offer you this without his input. Why would they do that? Because you're good PR, she said honestly, but also because they genuinely believe in the mission, and whether you like it or not, you're the perfect person to lead it. So I took the meeting. The foundation's director, a kind woman named Margaret, explained the vision. We want to create a space where people can rebuild their lives, she said, where being fired doesn't mean being forgotten, where one mistake or one false accusation doesn't define your future. She looked at me meaningfully. You understand that better than anyone. She wasn't wrong. What would I actually be doing? I asked. Managing the cafe, hiring staff, creating the culture. You'd have full autonomy to run it however you see fit. We provide the funding and the building. You provide the heart. And Blake? Has no involvement whatsoever. He stepped back from all foundation activities pending the divorce and investigation. I thought about it. This was a real opportunity. A chance to turn everything I'd been through into something meaningful. A chance to help people who were going through what I went through. I'll do it, I said. Margaret smiled. Excellent. Welcome to the team, Kendra. We opened the cafe 6 weeks later. It was a beautiful space. Exposed brick, lots of natural light, mismatched furniture that felt more like home than a restaurant. We called it Second Chances Cafe. On the nose? Maybe. But sometimes being obvious is better than being clever. I hired 12 people for the opening staff. A single mom who got fired for taking too many sick days to care for her kid. A man who'd been wrongfully accused of theft and couldn't find work for 2 years. A woman who'd left an abusive relationship and needed somewhere safe to rebuild. Each of them had a story. Each of them deserved better than what life had given them. And now they had a chance to prove it. Opening day was chaos. Lines out the door, reporters wanting interviews, local politicians showing up for photo ops. But underneath the circus, something real was happening. People were connecting, sharing stories, finding community. A customer who'd been fired from her teaching job for whistleblowing came in and ended up mentoring one of our staff. A regular who ran a small business started hiring people from our team for freelance work. The cafe became more than just a place to eat. It became a lifeline. And I got to witness it all. One afternoon, about a month after we opened, Vanessa stopped by. She looked different, lighter somehow. Like she'd finally put down a weight she'd been carrying for years. Her divorce from Blake was finalized. Her father was out on bail but facing serious charges. She'd moved into her own apartment, modest by her previous standards, but hers. How's it going? She asked, sliding into a booth. Chaotic, exhausting, amazing, I said, sitting across from her. How about you? I started therapy, she said. Real therapy. Not the kind where you pay someone to tell you you're perfect. The kind where they call you on your shit. How's that going? Terrifying, she admitted. But good. I'm starting to understand why I am the way I am. Why I let people control me for so long. And I'm done with it. She smiled. I actually applied to grad school, social work. I figure if I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make up for the damage I caused, I might as well do it properly. I felt genuine pride for her. That's amazing, Vanessa. Thanks. And it's because of you, you know. Me? You didn't let me give up. On that rooftop in my father's office. Every time I wanted to quit, you pushed back. You showed me what strength actually looks like. I didn't know what to say to that. I just did what anyone would have done. No, she said firmly. You did what most people wouldn't. You saved someone who'd tried to destroy you. That's not normal. That's extraordinary. I felt my eyes getting wet. Stop. You're going to make me cry in front of my employees. She laughed. Can't have that. The boss has to maintain her mystique. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then she asked, Have you heard from Blake? No, have you? He sent me a letter, apologizing. Again. Saying he's in therapy too, that he's trying to figure out who he is without the money and the power and the lies. Do you believe him? She thought about it. I don't know, but I hope it's true. Not for us. That ship has sailed. But for him. Because the Blake I married, the one I fell in love with before everything got twisted, he was a good person. Maybe he can find that again. Do you still love him? No, she said without hesitation. I love who I thought he was, but that person never really existed. So I'm grieving a ghost. I understood that feeling more than I wanted to. Another customer came in, a woman with a young daughter, looking nervous. One of my staff members, Janine, greeted her warmly and guided her to a table. I watched as the tension in the woman's shoulders eased, as her daughter smiled at the coloring sheet Janine provided. These small moments of dignity. That's what the cafe was really about. You did good, Kendra, Vanessa said, following my gaze. Really good. We did good, I corrected. You helped make this happen too. I guess we make a decent team. A weird team, I said. But decent. She finished her coffee and stood to leave. I'll see you next week, our usual coffee date. Wouldn't miss it. She paused at the door and looked back. Hey, Kendra? Yeah? Thank you for everything, for saving my life, for believing I could change, for not giving up on me when you had every reason to. You saved mine too, I said honestly, in ways you don't even realize. She smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached her eyes. Then she was gone. I went back to work, managing the controlled chaos of lunch rush, but I couldn't stop thinking about how far we'd both come. 2 months ago, we were enemies caught in someone else's war. Now we were friends learning how to build something better from the ruins. That evening, after the cafe closed, I stayed behind to do paperwork. The quiet was nice after the noise of the day. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Proud of you, bestie. Drinks this weekend? I smiled and replied, Absolutely. Then another text came through. Unknown number. My heart skipped, old fears creeping back. But when I opened it, the message made me laugh. Saw the article about the cafe. Looks amazing. You're going to change a lot of lives. Blake. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I typed back, Already have. And I meant it. Because the truth was, this journey, as horrible and painful and unfair as it had been, had changed me in ways I was only beginning to understand. I'd learned that I was stronger than I thought. That dignity couldn't be taken, only given away. That sometimes the people who hurt you the most can become unexpected allies. And that one moment of courage, one slap on a rooftop that broke through years of pretense, could save more than just a marriage. It could save a life, maybe 2. I locked up the cafe and walked out into the Atlanta night. The city lights glittered like broken glass scattered across velvet, beautiful and dangerous and full of possibility, just like life itself. I pulled out my phone and opened a new note, and I wrote, Dear past self, I know you're scared right now. I know you feel like your life is ending because a stranger threw water in your face and the world decided you were guilty. But I need you to hold on, because 6 months from now, you'll be managing your own cafe. You'll be helping people rebuild their lives. You'll have a friend you never expected. And you'll finally understand that being destroyed isn't the same as being defeated. Sometimes we have to lose everything to find out who we really are. And you're going to be amazing. Keep fighting. Love, future you. I saved the note even though past me would never read it, because maybe someone else would. Someone scrolling through their phone at 2 a.m., drowning in shame and fear. Someone who needed to know that survival was possible. That redemption was real. That second chances existed for people brave enough to take them. 3 months later, I got a letter, hand-delivered to the cafe in a cream-colored envelope with elegant handwriting. No return address. Inside was a single card. The slap heard around Atlanta. Thank you for waking me up. V. And underneath, in smaller letters, P.S. accepted into grad school. Starting next semester. Drink soon? I laughed and tucked the card into my pocket. Then I got back to work. Because that's what survivors do. We keep moving forward. We keep building. We keep fighting for the lives we deserve. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we get to help others do the same. Sometimes God puts you in someone's storm, not to drown, but to calm the waves they can't face alone. And in saving them, you might just save yourself. The truth is rarely convenient. It's often painful. Sometimes it destroys everything you thought you knew. But it's the only foundation solid enough to build a real life on. And when you stand in your truth, even when it costs you everything, you give others permission to stand in theirs. That's how broken people heal. That's how enemies become allies. And that's how one slap on a rooftop can change 2 lives forever. If this story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear that survival is possible. That second chances are real. That truth, no matter how painful, is always worth fighting for. And if you're going through your own storm right now, remember, you're stronger than you know. The waves won't last forever. And on the other side, there's a version of you waiting that you can't even imagine yet. Hold on. Keep fighting. Your second chance is coming.